All right. All right. Hey there. So, Mark, why do you think audiences will enjoy your movie unlicensed?
Because unlicensed is something that kind of has a sort of universality to it, right? It's kind of on the surface, if you look at the poster, it's a boxing movie, unlicensed boxing match, and you might think like, oh, it's a bit like Rocky in that it's really a drama and it has sport at the center of it, i.e., a boxing match at the center of it, but actually it's really about friendship. It's about family. It is about a guy who is struggling to adapt to a new place in the world, and the support and help he gets to kind of get there. And it's about self belief and determination and ultimately redemption. So it has a lot of really universal themes that I think people will really connect with and that can relate to. It's
All
more than a
right.
boxing movie.
It's more than a boxing movie. It's life itself. So, do you
100%.
do you know anyone who has had a similar journey that your character had in this film?
So when I wrote this, it's not like there's a single individual that I could see who had this journey, but it was a lot of elements of the life that I have led. So I have seen people either in my circle or even in my family who've struggled with kind of addiction. There's a strong addiction element in terms of the gambling addiction that the character suffers from, which he keeps very secret, and the nature of that, whereby addicts are very, very sneaky and very smart, and they will hide it. They will do so many things to hide the addiction that they have, and that's kind of what you see here. And I used to work at one of the big four accounting firms. I've kind of worked with those city traders. I've seen that kind of big city life that this character that I created comes from, and that he has to adapt to a new world, a new reality where he doesn't have that kind of high flying city life anymore, having been imprisoned for insider trading. Another thing where his gambling addiction has got him into a really bad place. I'm a father, I'm a parent, I know the change that comes about when you have kids. And so and I've boxed, and I love boxing as a kind of visceral, visual kind of medium, and it's a real kind of like catharsis. So I kind of took all those things, put them in a blender, and Unlicensed came out.
Okay, there it is. And tell me about conceiving this movie and then getting a script out of it. How long did that take?
So this was a really unusually quick script because I had a window of time where I needed to shoot this film and I needed to get everything in place for it. And I had another script that I was planning to make, and it's called Town versus Gown. It's another boxing story, but a very different one. It's set in the university in Cambridge where I live, and it's about a guy who comes into the university and ends up on at the wrong end of the kind of boxing coach or head team lead, and ends up being kind of antagonistic towards university. So the university basically was like the antagonist in this whole thing. And it was like that wasn't going to sell very well because the university wouldn't like it. And they were probably going to, they could have shut it down anytime. So they just decided it was too risky to make that film. But I wanted to do a boxing thing. I wanted to do something with a big fight sequence at its kind of finale. And I really started throwing ideas around. And this is January 2023. I met a bunch of friends. We sat and did brainstorming sessions, and I kind of wrote out the beats of what I thought the story could be, created this character, this kind of ex-city boy who's a bit down on his luck, but still has that kind of city boy cockiness, and about how he has to kind of learn, like, this is how life is now. Like, you have to take your responsibilities and you have to deal with your issues. And I then sat down and wrote it. Every day I would write for an hour and a half because I still had my day job. Got up at 6 in the morning, wrote for an hour and a half, wrote 3 pages a day. This is from the 1st of February to the end of February. By the end of that month, I had a 90-page screenplay. And then on the 3rd of March, we started shooting. So it was crazy because I was doing the pre-production, locations, casting, all of this stuff at the same time as I was writing it. And everyone was like, hey, this sounds great. Can I see a script? And and I would literally be like, there's no script, but there will be a script. And it was pure faith on their part. Like, I worked with people who I'd worked with before, and it was purely their belief in me that I would be good to my word. That I, like, sure enough, we turn up on day one. Oh, we did a read through the weekend before. Like, there's the script. That's what we're shooting. And they all liked it. And we just went ahead and did it. So I kind of broke one of the first rules of screenwriting or filmmaking, which is like, you never shoot a first draft, but it's the draft that we had, and we went for it.
Wow, that sounds exhausting and stressful.
it was but it was a real moment of like, this time period that I had to shoot the film could not be moved. And it's a real testament to the power of a deadline, right? We had to start shooting. And so I had to do whatever it took to be ready for us to start shooting on that day. The thing that we shot on day one was the big fight sequences because we were using a real boxing event. And that is a date we couldn't shift, right? We could only turn up, shoot our stuff. we were very lucky in that we got given the interval of this event to go and shoot our choreographed fight scene. So we got, there's 1,000 people in the crowd. And so by the end of day one of shooting, which finished at 5 in the morning, we had kind of our big finale. And so we knew we had the scale and we had the kind of the climax of the movie. And that was a great thing to go into it with because everything else was like, right, now we've got to earn what we've just shot. We've got to earn the finale by telling the story now. So yeah, it was a great way to do it. But also a crazy way to do it.
Right. All right. Well, were there particular films you wanted this to feel like? You mentioned Rocky. Were there other ones?
So Rocky is definitely one because I love the Stallone story, and I kind of look back and I'm like, wow, I remember that story about Stallone writing Rocky in 3 days, just day and night, and the fact that he just had to slug it out, and I didn't do quite the same, but I was sort of similar. Like I had to get up every day. I still had day job and family, and just hammer out this script till it was ready and done. So there was really that determination. But in terms of style, like I gave a kind of tone and style note to my DOP, my cinematographer, which said like, I want this film to look like it's Fight Club but directed by Spielberg, and that was kind of like a stylistic note that gave us a kind of tone for the whole thing, and that really, really came through. Like I think we kind of achieved something like that on our kind of meager budget. We did a kind of great job, but yeah, I really wanted it to be like you said right at the top, like something that's kind of got a universality to it that people can relate to, and just happens to have boxing at its core. And like again, that very much is what kind of Rocky is. It's a box. It's a movie about a guy trying to figure out who he is and where he is in the world. It just happens to have some boxing.
All right. I need you to expand a little bit on this Fight Club by the way of Spielberg. What the heck does that mean?
So Fight Club, I wanted it to have the kind of that kind of grittiness, that kind of saturated look and feel, and but it also has a fantastical element to it, right? Fight Club has, it's wonderfully kind of almost sort of surreal in the way that it plays out. But I then wanted to add in the kind of magic, if you like, of Spielberg. Their kind of aura of what can be. There's a kind of fairy tale aspect. Certainly the kind of 80s Spielberg. There's a sort of fairy taleness to the stories he's telling where you're right there with him, even though what may be happening on screen may be kind of ridiculous, but you're just in that moment and it just sort of looks and feels so kind of beautiful and welcoming. And that's how I kind of wanted it to come across. I wanted it to be like, I guess what I'm saying is like Fight Club, but kind of Spielberg accessibility. And, in the way that we shot the film, there's a lot of good dynamic one-ers and things, which are real kind of like, they're a real Spielberg influence on me. I love having the camera moving and seeing things as a character sees them or learning things as a character learns them. So yeah, it was a strong influence for me in terms of the look and feel of the film for sure.
Cool. Did you see The Smashing Machine?
No, not yet. I keep hearing that Dwayne The Rock Johnson is just phenomenal in that movie, and it does look really, really good. So it's high on my list, and I think I may be able to still catch it in a big screening of it. But it just, unfortunately, it didn't do great in terms of theatrical. So I think a lot of places it's already kind of moved on. But yeah, again, it's a story about a guy, and it happens to have this kind of big, sort of masculine kind of martial art at the middle of it. But it's really about a guy.
I was just gonna say though, maybe if Unlicensed is the new Rocky, then Smashing Machine is the new Raging Bull. You could do
Right.
people can
Yeah.
do double bills of
Double
this
bill.
one and the Smashing Machine.
That would be super, super cool.
If
Yeah, but
if
then to
one
be honest,
person
double
hears that,
bill,
sorry, go
I
ahead.
was going to say double bill of my film and any other film, that'd be great. If it can be The Rock, that's awesome. Yeah,
I just hope one person does that after hearing this.
that
If
would be very,
if
very
a
cool.
single person does it, then it was all worth it. So,
Yeah, leave us a comment.
right,
If you
exactly,
watch
exactly.
Unlicensed as a double bill with the Smashing Machine, let us know how it goes.
Yeah, yeah. Tell us. We want to know. That's hysterical. All right. So tell me about the casting and why you wanted to work with your co-stars.
So I was very, very lucky in that when COVID came around in 2020, I did a thing which I'd wanted to do for a long time, which is to go back to drama school because everything went online. I live in Cambridge, which is 60 miles north of London. And going down to London to a drama school was just a thing. It was just not practical for me. So when everything went online, I suddenly was able to kind of sign up and join sort of part-time acting courses and kind of really I was a returning actor. I'd been an actor in my youth and I was coming back to it and I kind of wanted to sharpen the tools and get that confidence back as well as anything else. and I went to the Identity School of Acting in London, and I was put into this group with this incredible, talented group of actors and actresses, and half of my cast have come from that class.
Mm.
So the character, Sarah Diamond, who plays Chloe, my character's estranged wife. Jack Newhouse, who plays Nicky Miller, the guy I fight in the ring. LaShonda Morgan, who plays the head chef in the restaurant that my character goes and ends up washing pots in. Like, they all came from that one class. And what was beautiful was that when I was writing this, I talked about how fast I had to write it, but I was able to write it with these people in mind. And I knew their voices, and I knew that they could knock this out of the park. So that was incredibly fortunate. And then the other side of it is Mark Tunstall, who's the kind of he's kind of one of the co-lead. He plays my best friend in the film, and we've known each other for 30 something years. We grew up in Cambridge. We both were chauffeurs on the river back in our youth. We used to, pose around and take people on boat tours and make stuff up for tourists. And we've both gone off and done different acting things. He's been in some stuff and I've been in some stuff. We kind of came back together and we're like, wanted to make something. And so at the heart of it, we've got this relationship between these two guys, and our relationship is such that it's very, very natural and very believable. And so we kind of really played on a lot of our own personality and characteristics when we brought those scenes to life, and they just really work. So in terms, there's Mark in terms of that genuine, authentic kind of bromance type thing, and then you've got these incredible actors who I was able to bring in from my acting class, having had like the unusual benefit of seeing them perform stuff in an extended period. We worked together for over a year in this class. So I knew what they could do. It wasn't just like auditioning people where you see them for 5 minutes or 10 minutes for a self-tape. I knew what they could do, and I could write stuff to their strengths, and they absolutely delivered. So yeah, I feel incredibly grateful for the cast that ended up in my movie. It really, really makes the film.
Great. So I love movies like The Long Good Friday and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. And I was wondering, this is obviously not like a full blown gangster tale. It's like it's got more, as you were saying, universal components. A little bit more is it's kind of hard to relate to Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels for most people, thankfully. But what do you think is so appealing about a British accent in like a gritty tale?
I just think it's not become a trope, but it is a thing that people instantly connect. So another one of my fantastic actors is Gary Davidson Jr., and he plays this local gangster called Billy Foster, and he's the one who hosts the unlicensed boxing match, and he's involved in some bad stuff. And you never, you see him dealing with some kids and handing them little packages, and you get a sense of like he's into some not great stuff. But he's also a figure in the kind of local community, and he's kind of, he's very kind of old school East End London. He even looks a bit like he could be Jason Statham's older brother, right? He's got a kind of certain look to him. The great thing about Gary is that he is from that world. He's from that East End of London. He's been in the boxing world. His father was a gambler, and so he has a real connect. And he was one of the guys I talked to when we were thrashing ideas around for this film. Like, what could the story be? But he brings a real authenticity to it, and when he has scenes where he's kind of got me up against a wall or where he's getting kind of quite heated, like you 100% believe it. And when you hear that kind of East End kind of Cockney accent, it's just like it just lands with audiences globally. Like they kind of know where they are. And I guess we have got Guy Ritchie maybe to thank for some of that, but it's a good thing to lean into for someone like me, because it's like, oh right, you can instantly get a sense of he's that kind of character as soon as he opens his mouth. And he's got the look, he's got this body covered in tattoos, he's incredibly well put together. So like he really brings the whole package, Gary. He's fantastic.
Oh yes. All right. Now tell me about the advantage of being an actor when you shifted to directing.
So I was always a filmmaker, like right from being a
Mm.
kid. I loved filmmaking, and I actually got the acting bug from that time. I used to make films with my friends after school, right? Like we'd go, we'd get a video camera and we'd shoot stuff, and you'd be like, well, there's three of us, and this scene's got two, so I'll hold the camera and you two be in it, and the next scene you hold the camera and I'll be in it, and then this next scene we need three, so we'll put the camera on the table and we'll all be in it. But that's kind of where I got the acting bug from, was like doing those performances and getting in front of the camera. And then I did some stage stuff with my teens and suddenly got this kind of like feeling for performing. So it's, for me, it's always been both. I love acting, I love directing, and I'm very confident and very happy directing myself. Like I'm very happy to step from behind the camera in front of the camera and kind of flip between these two kind of personalities, if you like. I can switch off my actor ego when I'm at the monitor, and but I can also be in the moment when I'm in front of the camera. And I think that's just something that I've built a muscle for over years of just doing it. And I do think, though, for both actors and directors, like I think all directors should do some acting classes and all actors should try making a film because it makes both so much better at what you do. If you're an actor who's tried to make something, you tried to edit something, like you suddenly know what they need from you. You know what the coverage is. You know why they need you to be the same in certain things so that you can edit and continuity, stuff like that. If you're a filmmaker and you try being an actor, suddenly you know what actors need. They need to know why they're doing something. They need to know where they've come from, where they're going, what mindset they're in, whatever that might be, and all these things. And it just makes you so much better at both roles by having a go at the other. And I think that's true of so many different kind of disciplines within the film industry. Like if you're a director and you have a go being a sound guy for a day, like that will really teach you about like how important it is to get the really good sound. Like it's just beneficial to everyone. The more things you kind of try your hand at, I think.
Very interesting. And you definitely seem like a person with a lot of stamina, a lot of
Yeah.
endurance. Tell me about that. How do you get your energy?
I think it's because I am just genuinely passionate about making movies. Like I say, I've been a movie fan and a movie maker since I was a kid. I can't quite believe it's taken me this long to make a feature, but I've been making short films and things my whole life. I worked in film production for many years. I've directed music videos, and I just love being on set. I love that energy of creating stuff and the family that you create when you have a little unit where you're all kind of working together towards a kind of common goal, and then being able to put that on a big screen and watch it. I have a genuine passion for the cinema, and that is the thing that drives me. The idea that I can put things together, and from the very young age, you start doing your editing in camera. You stop the camera, then you do the next thing. You start the camera, and you do it again. It's all very kind of lo-fi, but when you see the impact you have of kind of editing something together that you've made, that gives you a real like light bulb moment of wow, that's incredible storytelling. Like we could do that even better, and then you go again and you go again and you get better and better, and it's just like it's just a joy for me being on set basically. And I don't I'm very happy being on set just as an actor and watching everyone around me do what they do, and just being the bit of the puzzle that fits into that slot, and being like you have to just fill that role. And then I also love being the guy who's driving the whole thing. You really have to lead from the front when you're the writer, the producer, the director, and you're the lead actor. Like that's quite a big ask on anybody, and it's kind of crazy that someone would take it on, but I feel very happy doing that. I was very excited to be on set. All I had to do every day was just remind myself, like, and everyone else around me, like, we're making a movie. Like, how cool is this? When things go wrong, you just stop and go, but guys, we're making a movie, right? That's so cool, right? So yeah, that's it. It's just passion.
I love it. I love it. What was the best new film you saw this year?
Ooh, this year. So this year's been a lot of me doing this sort of thing, trying to get the film finished, trying to get the film out there. And so as a result, I have struggled to see many films this year, which is which is terrible for a filmmaker to be like, oh, I haven't actually been to the cinema very often. I'm just trying to think of even the last film that I saw. We've been watching lots of TV stuff. We've been catching up with things like Severance, and that's been really interesting to watch the journey that like Ben Stiller has been on, to go from like the kind of broad comedy stuff that he was doing before to go into Severance. That's been kind of extraordinary, really. But in terms of features, man, I'm drawing a blank. I'll
Okay.
come back. If we stop thinking about it, it'll come to me and I'll come back to you.
All right. Well, what about like an old movie?
I'm a fan. I'm a kid of the '80s, right?
Hmm.
So and I think there's a quite a lot of that in Unlicensed. There's a lot of those kind of there's family moments. There's again, it kind of leads into that sort of Spielberg angle. There's scenes where my character and my son in the movie, who's played by my son in real life. In fact, the 10-year-old son who's played by my kid. There's a lot of kind of touching moments there, and that kind of leans into that kind of E.T. and those kind of movies, or Jaws, where you have those kind of family relationships which fit within the kind of overall kind of universal world that you're creating, right? So, beautiful things like that. But I also love kind of something sort of avant-garde. I mean, Brazil is a favorite of mine. Terry
Hmm.
Gilliam's Brazil is a fantastic kind of like visual kind of masterpiece. of like what the hellery is going on, but I love it. You know what I mean? But I love movies from all eras. I love movies from, I love from Casablanca, right, through to like Count of Hotton Roof and City of God, like all the way through. There are, kind of favorites in every era which just grab me and just make me kind of remind me of like this is the power of cinema. This is the journey that you can take people on by putting a story up on the big screen and making it kind of beautiful and yeah. So cinema has just become this kind of like holy ground for me, really.
Lovely. Okay, so maybe we won't get a 2025 movie shutout, but we're gonna tell people Unlicensed and The Smashing Machine.
Yeah. I wish I'd seen the Smashing Machine. Then I could have been flagging it up as being like, go see this thing. But yeah, no, Unlicensed 2025. We are a tiny micro budget movie, trying to kind of make a stand up against all the big studios. And, we had a wonderful premiere event here, right here in Cambridge in September. We did a little mini theatrical tour in a couple of cinemas in the UK. We opened the London Independent Film Festival. We won the jury award there for Best Feature, which was fantastic. And then we're coming out on the 17th of November in the UK and Ireland on digital platforms. So that's, now we're going to that next level where we get out on, Apple TV and Amazon, and people can hopefully kind of find it and buy it and kind of get engaged with it and enjoy it, I hope.
Okay, well, Mark, thank you so much for your time. What's next for you?
So this is, like I say, Unlicensed is being released in the UK and Ireland. We then have all the other territories to think about in terms of how we get the film out around the world. We have my lead actress is now in New York. My DOP is now in New Zealand. So it's like, where do we go? We try and tap into these local areas. I'm a Kiwi, so it'd be good to go home. And my next film is hopefully going to be sort of spring to summer next year. We'll start production on my next movie, which is hopefully a heist movie. So it
Oh
should be good
my.
fun. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Michael. It's been great. Really glad to be here.